Hi, welcome to Guide to Computer Forensics and Investigation. In this chapter, we are going to talk about email and social media investigations. Objectives of this chapter are we'll be explaining the role of an email in investigation, how do we conduct it on different platforms, whether these emails are from Gmail, Hotmail, or through Microsoft Exchange servers. We'll describe the client and server roles in emails, the applications which are installed on the client, and the roles of the servers when the emails are being saved or served by the Exchange servers to the clients. Describe tasks in investigating the email crimes and violations. Then we'll explain the use of email server logs. There are logs for each email which is being served from the server to the client, so we'll be looking into it. Then we'll describe some specialized email forensics tools which are used for forensics analysis, and finally we'll explain how to apply digital forensics methods to investigating social media and communications. Okay, so we'll be talking about exploring the role of email in investigations and increasing the email scam and fraud attempts with phishing or spoofing. Now, investigators need to know how to examine and interrupt the unique content of an email, because there are lots of emails which are received on daily basis. Some of them will have certain links, or they'll be hiding the actual links under the hyperlink. On hyperlink, you'll have a normal text, but under that there will be a different email address. Phishing emails contain links or the text on the web pages attempt to get the personal information of the reader. For example, you'll receive an email that your insurance is going to expire, and click over here to get a discount around 20 to 30% and other benefits, etc. Once you click on it, they'll take you to another website which would look very much similar to the original website, and they'll get all your details, etc. from there. Now, the last thing in this slide is farming. Farming typically is the emails containing links to the text on a web page. By using the unique phishing message attempt to get the personal information by luring the readers with false promises. For example, when alarming is used, the reader might go to a correct website address, but the DNS poisoning will take them away to a fake website. To determine whether the redirection has been used, you need to view the message in the HTML source and to check whether the internet links in the label with the redirect link which is appearing under it. They are mostly looking for the links and the website. Whenever you'll click on it, the link would be fine, but since the DNS has been contaminated, it would transfer you, instead of going to the original website, it would redirect you to a website which is a very much similar to the original one. Now, that's another kind of an attack that is used on DNS servers, where they'll poison the DNS entries, and instead of going to the original websites, it would be redirecting you to the other websites which are looking very much similar to the original ones. Now, next we are talking about spoofing over here. Spoofing is a creation of an email address with a forged sender address. Most of the emails that we are receiving in organizations are with the correct email address which you would see on the top of the email. Actually, that's only the title or the label of an email address which we can have. For example, in our emails, whenever we are sending an email, our name appears over there. So instead of that name, they'll type in the email address of an actual employee in the organization, whereas in the back end, there will be an email address which belongs to the penetrator or the person who's sending these spam emails. So that's how they are trying to fool the people. Once you'll receive an email from an email address which belongs to an organization, people would tend to obey the instructions or the emails which are received from the higher management to do certain tasks, rather than checking that actually who's sending these emails. As soon as you'll reply an email back, it would go to the person who actually sent it, but not to the person whose email address was actually appearing as the title of the email. Now, email can be sent and received in two environments: internet and intranet via internal network. Internet is, for example, the email services which are provided by Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo, or any other internet service. Intranet email services are the services which are provided within an organization. The main difference between an intranet and internet is, in an intranet, mostly the organizations have their own Exchange server. For example, Microsoft Exchange server will be there. Every user will have an email account and they'll be able to send and receive emails regardless of the internet. Whether the internet is working or not, still they'll be able to send and receive emails within an organization. Internet emails are the services which are provided by these companies like Gmail, Hotmail, and other things. You require an internet in order to access those email services. Both internet and intranet email services can be configured in the email clients. So the actual email will remain on the server, and a copy of that email would be copied or would be retrieved using these email client softwares that we have installed on our computers. Now, since the architecture is like that, it does not matter which operating system you are using. There would be either a web-based interface through which you will be checking email, or there will be both web-based or a client-based. So both services would work in order to receive an emails. But the logs, each and everything will be maintained at the email server. Even you can check the email header that you have received, whether in the email client or in the email header, where full detail of the server, the path, IP addresses, each and everything will be available over there. Client server architecture is server operating system and email software differ from each other on the client side or the server side. It could be server, it could be Windows, it could be Mac, it could be Linux, it could be any operating system, but you'll be able to receive your email. Protected accounts require username and passwords. There are different policies and security principles which are adopted so that one user cannot check emails of any other person. So the emails that you are receiving, you are the only person who is eligible to read and send an email from your email account. No one else would be able to access those accounts or the emails which are sent or received from your account. Here they are trying to explain the email client. For example, you are receiving an email. It would ask for the server, do you have an email? And it would send. An email client would be installed over here, like Microsoft Outlook, as they are explaining over here. You'll click send and receive, and the emails as per your mailbox would be transferred to your computer from the mailbox server. So a copy would remain at the main server and another copy of that email would be copied on your computer in your Outlook, Microsoft Outlook application or any other client that you're using. Now there are naming conventions for an email. For example, if you have your corporate email account, means that you have an exchange server within your organization and you have a domain, for example somecompany.com. You can create these first before at the rate of sign any accounts possible in your organization, and they'll have the email provided under the name of your company's URL. That looks very professional. That's why they have their own email service either locally or they are purchasing that service from someone, and they'll be paying as per the size of the mailboxes and the number of accounts that they are used. Now, the second kind of a public service is something at gmail.com or hotmail.com or anything like that. Since it is from Gmail or Hotmail, you cannot include the at the rate of sign, but there are some services provided by Google with the help of which you can even use your own company's email, your company's URL address after the sign off at something.com, and the emails would be served by Gmail. So it would be a mass service where Gmail would be the platform which is serving the company's domain name and would be providing the email services by using certain techniques. Everything at the rate of belongs to the domain name. It could be your company name, or it could be Gmail or anything like that. Now tracing the corporate emails is easier because accounts use standard names that administrator establishes them. You can delete the accounts anytime, you can enable them, you can reset the passwords, you can even go to the logs and check each and everything about that particular account. Many companies are migrating their email services to the cloud, just like Office 365. For the students, for example, you can create the email accounts in the cloud. It would be synced using your Active Directory on domain, using Active Directory Federation services, and all the accounts would be authenticated on your Active Directory on the local premises, and the students will be able to get all the services provided by Microsoft Cloud, which is Office 365, having the storage and Word documents accessing and managing the documents online, editing the documents online, and stuff like that. Now we will be looking at investigating the email crimes and violations. It is very similar to any other investigation that we conduct. Since these servers are designed in a way that they maintain logs of each and everything for all the emails received and sent, plus their logs, IP addresses from where they are originated, sent to the guys, each and everything is there. So it's fairly simple to investigate these things, but of course you need the help of the email administrator that can provide you all the relevant details. For example, the goal is to find who is behind the crime, who's sending those kind of emails. They could be threatening emails, they could be fraud emails, they could be emails which can try to collect certain information from you. You can collect different evidence from the server. You can present your findings in terms of the evidence in front of the court, and you can build your case based on the information that you'll get from these email servers. Know the applicable policies and laws for the jurisdiction in each and every country. They are different, so you must be aware of that. What are the company policies regarding sending and receiving an email in an organization, locally as well as internationally. Email crimes depends on the country, state, city, and etc. Examples, for example, spam may not be a crime in certain states, but in certain other states it would be a big crime. You cannot send an email to everyone with the false information. Always consult with an attorney if you want to take up the case. Examples of the crimes involving, for example, narcotics. If anyone is trying to sell all those illegal things via emails which are not allowed in a country, extortion, fraud, or terrorism, etc. These are the examples of the emails which are received. If they are violating the company policies, you can report it to the higher authorities. Now, the forensics linguistics is where the language and the law intersects, the kind of the language which is being used in an email. Four categories is language and law. Language in the legal process, language as evidence, and the research and the teaching, whatever you found in terms of whenever you were investigating about a specific scenario. Encompasses civil cases, criminal cases, cyber terrorism cases, and other legal proceedings which you may have. Now, examining the email message, access the victim's computer or mobile device to recover the evidence, using the victim's email client to find a copy of the potential evidence, and access the protected or encrypted material which you can find on the computer. You can even print the copies of the email with the email headers to have a log of all the email, it originated from which IP address, sent from where, so each and everything would be there. Guide the victim on the phone. Some people are using these clients, so for example the applications of Microsoft which are installed on the computer. Through that you can conduct the investigative analysis, and then you may have to recover the deleted emails which were deleted from the computer. They can be recovered from the mail server, or they can be recovered on the client as well. There are a lot of other softwares which are used in order to recover the emails. Copying an email message. Before you start an email investigation, you need to copy and print the email involving the crime or the policy violation. You may also want to forward the message or an attachment to another email address just to have a copy of it. With many GUI email programs, you can copy an email, dragging it to a storage medium, or copying it to a Word document, or saving it to a different location. There are lots of different options available. Plus, if the backup system is in place where they are constantly keeping the backup of the email server, you'll have the copies of those emails in the previous generated backups as well. Investigators should learn how to find email headers, GUI clients or web-based clients. It's fairly simple. You can go to email header of it by going to the details of the email. You can find it in Gmail and any other email service as well. Further, if you are using Microsoft Outlook client, you can go to the properties of the email and you can find or copy the entire header of the email. After you open the email header, copy and paste them into a text document to keep a copy of it so that you can read them with a text editor. We have already tried it in one of the student labs, so you are very much familiar with that. Becoming familiar with an email programs as possible. Often more than one email programs are installed on the computer, with the help of which you can read or copy the emails. Now, in Outlook, double click on the message, go to the file properties, and you can look at the header in the properties in the email header of it, and you can use any text editor in order to read the header information which is there. They are giving you an example. Over here, the internet header is there with the correct email which was appearing over there, received from which address. That's the message header and the other relevant details of it. Now, the viewing the email header in Gmail, click down on the reply or the circular arrow, show the original and download the original. So you'll find a text file over there with the default options over there. You can save that folder with the name, and same goes for Yahoo. And that's the information that you get. Here you can see that return path is appearing over there. Then you can have the designates and the IP address and other details and the message header, and it would contain even the IP address over here. It was sent from which address and received, date and time. Each and everything is appearing in the email header. Examining the email headers, headers contain full information about the main piece of information you're looking for, like the originator's email IP address, date and time from which it was sent, file names or any attachments which are associated with that particular email, unique message number if supplied, and that's the detail. Again, a copy of all the information that you can find sent from an SMTP, and the protocol which was used by the IP address appearing over here, and the other details about SNMT and even the encryption protocols, etc. Examine an additional email files. Emails are saved on the client side or left at the server. Microsoft Outlook uses PST file or the OST files. The only difference is PST file is the email configured in a Microsoft Outlook client as the POP and SMTP settings, whereas OST is the Microsoft Exchange file, which is generated when you are configuring different Exchange accounts. So there are different ways of configuring an email in the email client. So that's why there is a difference in the extension. Most email programs are included an electronic address book, calendar, tasks, and other memos, which comes in. If they are configured with your corporate Exchange server, you'll get all these details for all the meetings, and the address would include the email addresses of all the other persons in the same organization. In web-based email, messages are displayed and saved as the web pages in the browser cache folders. Many web-based email providers are often instant messaging services, etc. there. Most of the companies and the organizations are using different clients like Microsoft Outlook, because the features which are there in the client programs are very rich as compared to the web-based clients. Now that's improving with the passage of time. Lots of features are available through the web-based email clients as well, but still the email client software like Microsoft Outlook is still far more superior than using the web-based email services. Now, tracing an email message, determine the message origin is referred to as tracing. Contact the administrator responsible for sending the server. Use the registry entry to find the point of contact. For example, these are the websites through which you can get the details, and verify the findings by checking the network email against the email address. Further, we can find the details on the router logs, records of all the incoming and outgoing emails, whether we want it or not. All these details are being logged and kept in the Exchange server, have rules to allow and disallow the traffic. For example, if a server is constantly sending you spam, you can have them blacklisted, so that as soon as the emails would be received from that particular IP address or the domain or the sender, they will be blocked at the Exchange gateway, and it would automatically delete the emails from there. Or you can put them in the quarantine, and the users would receive a notification early morning that we received these emails, which are possibly the spam emails. If there are any emails which are of your interest and you are going and they are going to the spam, you can simply release them from those filters. You can resolve the path of the transmitted emails, etc. from the logs. Then there are firewall logs as well, which filter the emails and traffic, verify that whether the email passed through the allowed list of senders or not. You can use any text editors or specialized tools for that. Now they are showing a Windows normal network firewall, which is there using the email logs, etc. Now the email server is loaded with a software that uses email protocols for its services and contains the logs and can examine use for the investigation purposes. Email servers will have their own storage, they'll have their own databases, and they'll have a flat file system with the help of which it is maintaining logs about each and everything. And whenever it is required, you can refer back to the logs and get all the relevant details about the emails which were received to a particular user or all users in your organization. Some servers are set up to log email transactions by default, others have to be configured to do so. By default, Microsoft is configured to keep a log of each and everything, but if you want detailed logs about things, you must configure it accordingly. Now, email logs generally identify the following: email message and the account received, sender IP address, receiving and reading the date and time of the email, email content, whether it had certain attachments, audio files or video files, and the system specific information. Contact the suspect's network email administrator as soon as possible. Tell them that we are receiving the spam from your network constantly. If you can please look into it. Maybe sometimes the other organization through which the spam is received, maybe it's not sent deliberately, maybe their email server is compromised and it's constantly sending that spam to your email server, so you'll have to keep an eye on that. And server can recover the deleted emails on the server side as well as on client side. There are lots of softwares for that which helps us in recovering or repairing the PST or OST files on the computer. Now we'll be looking at the UNIX email servers and stuff like that in our next lecture. If you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email. Thank you very much.